Signed a new quarterback, and this defense can be the loudest, most explosive. That and so much more on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yes. Welcome back to episode 403, of the Purple Rain Podcast. The Matt Stover, Odell Beckham Jr., Chidobe Awuzie episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. RG3, Deontay Hardy, James Prochet episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yeah, we're going to go deep in the bag for that one.
There we go.
A lot to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow us here on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy here on Instagram or on X as Sutton Def, and the hiccups get to me. Me on Instagram as simply as10.prod, X simply as10, get me again. But welcome back. It's a Monday, and I have the hiccups. But how are you feeling, Sutton? How was your weekend?
I'm doing good, man. The hiccup monster coming at you right as we intro the show is crazy. But it'd be like that sometimes. I get it. But no, man, I'm doing good. I cannot complain, not one bit. Kind of a slow day in Ravens news land, but there are some things that we got to touch on here. We have to address here in this episode of the show. And before we do that, please be sure to leave a thumbs up, aka a like on this video. And if you are new, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We would appreciate that. We are trying to build up towards we're pushing 7,000 subs here soon. So if you guys could help us reach that goal, please hit that subscribe button if you have not already and you want to support the channel. You can also support the channel in all sorts of ways. Of course, you can join our channel membership, which automatically qualifies you for our channel giveaways that we do here at PRP. Also, what you get with the channel membership too is you get to call into the show. We had a good time talking to Asmodeus the other day on Quiet Storm Sports. Had a really good time, and then the time before that, we had a couple good guys come on. So there's opportunities to chop it up with us here on PRP if you are members. So there's all sorts of ways to support the show. Of course, you can also donate through the super chats as well. We appreciate each and every donation. But listen, I want to start off the episode by talking about this, Alex. I know you are a big Arsenal guy, right? I see you've got the jersey on right now. I know that Arsenal is they're pushing for, the way you described it to me last time, it's like they were in like the AFC Championship game, right? That's what they have coming up.
That's what tomorrow is in the Champions League.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, they are confirmed today. They win their next 3 games, their final 3 games. They win the title for the first time in 22 years. I've been supporting for 11 years. Started as a sophomore in high school when I first got FIFA, got into soccer. I haven't really seen many trophies. I've seen a couple of not Mickey Mouse trophies, but small trophies. This is the biggest one. If we were to win it, tears will probably be shed. But we're getting close, and today, Manchester City drew against Everton, which is huge for us because they should be winning that game, and they are undoubtedly more experienced. They're better than us. But sometimes that's not how the cookie crumbles. So it's going to be a stressful 20 days. Yeah, we're 20 days away from the final game of the season. I get goosebumps thinking about it right now. I have chills just thinking about hoisting the trophy. That's all I've been dreaming about. All I've been thinking about for the past, honestly, couple of weeks.
No, yeah, I saw that the highlights from that Man City versus Everton matchup earlier today. Literally just happened like hours ago. And no, I mean, Man City, they came really, really close to beating Everton. It was Jeremy Doku, who I wasn't familiar with before, but 2 beautiful goals in that one from far out too. I mean, I can't remember exactly what the range was, but man, those were it definitely felt like a playoff / tournament type atmosphere. I can definitely say that as well. I kind of got what you were saying when you said like conference championship. It looks like it's getting lit. I'm gonna have to tune in.
Yeah. Tomorrow is the Champions League semifinals against Atletico Madrid. If we win that, we'll be in the final of the Champions League for the first time in 21 years. So it's definitely, as they call it, squeaky bum time. You're nervous, and every game means that much more. But for me, it's a privilege to be watching my team in this position when 4 or 5 years ago, we were the laughingstock of the league and memes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just it's a rebuild. They've been calling it a process much like the 76ers, But it's what
Mm.
happens when you trust your players, build the youth academy, and just don't go spend heavy. You build a team and you build that chemistry, which is huge.
Yeah. Speaking of the process, right? So my Sixers are actually moving on in the NBA playoffs, going to round two, starting tonight against the New York Knicks. That should be a really, really good series. It should be absolute cinema, and here's why. You have Joel Embiid, who of course is one of the most dominant centers in the league right now, going up against Karl Anthony Towns, who is another really, really good center who plays for the Knicks. And guess what? These guys hate each other, right? And like both of them are kind of like, I guess you can say like showmen in a way. So you know they're going to be trying to show each other up. I mean, if you have a chance to tune into it, I definitely would, because you're going to get some crazy viral moments out of that series. A 7-game series of those two guys going head to head, man. I can only imagine what's going to come out of that. On top of the fact that like it should be really, really good basketball too. So I'm excited to watch that series, man. I mean, Jalen Brunson is somebody who I always enjoy watching. But Tyrese Maxey, I think, is going to get the best of him in this series. And that may just be my bias as a Sixers fan, growing up as a Sixers fan. But either way, man, I think that that's going to be a phenomenal series. You also have Timberwolves versus who are they playing in this round? Now Spurs, that's right. Timberwolves versus Spurs in this round two. I think Anthony Edwards was like questionable to play. If he does play, him versus Wemby is going to be absolute cinema. So the NBA is really getting down to the nitty gritty here. I cannot wait to watch some of these games the rest of the way in these playoffs, man. So you got, again, you got soccer that's popping off right now. You got basketball that's popping off right now. And then on top of that, Alex, before we get into the Ravens content, right? You also have UFC. You know, I'm a big UFC guy, and there's a big card this weekend. You've got Hamzat Shimaev taking on Sean Strickland, and it's going to be in Newark, New Jersey. I'll definitely be tuning in to that one. I've already put out my prediction on the channel in case any of you guys were wondering. I do think that Hamzat Shimaev gets it done within 2 rounds by submission. By the way, for if there's any bettors out there, you want a method of victory for a good little parlay, whatever. Definitely within 2 rounds and by submission, I think Hamzat wins that fight. So again, lots going on in the sports world right now, despite there being no Ravens football. But there is a couple of things going on in Ravens land, and let's go ahead and let's kick it off with this, right? So the Ravens are signing, or they have already signed, a veteran quarterback, right? Let's take a listen or take a read of this article here from Ryan Mink on the Ravens website. It says the Ravens have added veteran competition for the number 3 quarterback spot with the signing of Skylar Thompson. The team announced Monday. Thompson is a 28 4-year veteran who previously played for the Dolphins and spent last season with the Steelers. He was a 7th-round pick in 2022. Thompson played in 10 games and made 3 starts with the Dolphins, most recently in 2024. He spent most of last season on IR due to a hamstring. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley as their 2 top quarterbacks, right? But head coach Jesse Minter said Saturday that the Ravens could have 3 to 5 quarterbacks on the 90-man roster, including another veteran. I think that's a room you're always trying to find just the perfect number, and we'll continue to do that, Minter said. The Ravens signed 2 undrafted rookies to the 90-man roster in Vanderbilt's Diego Pavia and Connecticut's Joe Finagno, who participated in the Ravens' 2-day rookie minicamp over the weekend. Being that Pavia was a Heisman Trophy finalist, he drew plenty of interest from reporters on Saturday. And Minter said about Pavia, says, Diego, just like a lot of the undrafted free agents, he's trying to make his mark. So, Alex, I got to toss it to you here. When you see that in May, the Ravens are bringing in a 5th quarterback option here to go on this 90-man roster. Of course, the 90-man roster is not the final roster. They got to cut that down to 53 by August, right? What do you think? Do you think it's like a non-issue here? Or is there a little bit more that meets the eye here with the signing of Skylar Thompson?
I need to get some water real quick. These hiccups are killing me.
Okay, I
Give me
got
like
you.
a couple of minutes. Give me a couple minutes.
For sure. Dang, we're like 9 minutes in. Those things are still going crazy. It'd be like that though. I get it. Alex will be back soon. Like the video for Alex, y'all. he needs the support right now. He needs the support. Hiccup Monsters got him. But yeah. So yeah, Ravens signing Skylar Thompson. What I'll say is this, guys. I think that is really a non-issue, and a lot of people online I've been seeing are like trying to like in typical May off-season content fashion trying to pull something or make something out of nothing with this, right? We're talking about the 90-man roster here where the Ravens are going to need a host of quarterbacks, right? Just as pure camp bodies and just to make sure that like all bases are being covered and things like that. They're able to compete, in drills and they need multiple quarterbacks is basically what I'm saying. It does not mean that they're going to go into the year with all of these guys on the roster, So I think that you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. I think that the Ravens know that Lamar Jackson is, of course, QB1, and then Tyler Huntley is, of course, QB2. There's just no doubt about that. But I think that, oh, no, I think Alex is back now. Alex,
We
are you
came,
good?
we saw, we conquered. We're good. We're
Okay,
good.
you're good.
And nothing like
Yeah,
some
man.
water can't fix.
There you go. There you go. Water in the Stanley, man. That's all you needed. That's all you needed. But no, I was just talking about Skylar Thompson here. Do you think it was like a non-issue here? Or do you think that there's
Yeah.
more that meets the eye?
If this was like in August, I'd have a problem with it. It's just a battle for QB3. He was a quarterback 3 last year, I believe, with the Steelers before he went on IR. It was Rodgers, their backup, and then him. So I'm not really worried about it. Like I said, if it was maybe, late July, early August, and we're like, all right, well, let's get another arm in here, I'd be worried. But I'm not mad at it. I'm really not. If anything, he'll be at most quarterback 3. And it'd be a surprise to me if Fayano, I want to say his name is right. Did I pronounce it correctly? Fayano? It's
I
silent.
think it was Fanano. I'm not sure, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I'd have to
I'm
look
just
it
gonna
up.
Joe from Connecticut, the quarterback Joe from Connecticut. I don't want to disrespect the last name. I think he's probably the odd man out. But yeah, I'm not really worried about this. I'm happy we're carrying these many because there's only one ball to go around, drills and everything. Everybody will get their hands on it, and he brings a difference. I mean, he brings the skill set that we kind of look in a quarterback. That dual threat. And I hate to say it, but he did start in a playoff game and gave the Bills a run for their money not too long ago. So if he makes the roster, I'll be surprised. It's May 4th. I'm not really too worried about it. I'm not. And it's
Yeah.
Fagnano, says D-Wiz. Fagnano.
Fagnano. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I
Funyan.
think that's what I said the first time, but I second guessed myself.
Funyan.
Joe Funyan is kind of crazy. Anywho, so, but yeah, but like you said, I think it's a non-issue. Like you mentioned, if this was like in August, then it would be like, okay, whoa, are you looking for like some insurance in an area where you don't feel like you have insurance? Because I mean, look, Lamar QB1, Huntley QB2, that's pretty much the end of it. And then I think if you bring in a Diego Pavia, especially considering that he was a former Heisman runner-up, like I think that he'll probably get either the benefit of the doubt from the coaches or just kind of like the nod, to kind of to take that third quarterback spot. I mean, that's what I think at least, because there's a reason that they bought him in, right? But of course, he's still got to perform in minicamp and things like that, and uh, we'll see what comes of that. But when does actual minicamp start, Alex? Isn't it like a couple of weeks from now?
Yeah, let me check our off-season dates. That's actually
Yeah, for sure.
a good question. Let's see, 2026. So just we've organized team activities, so we have OTAs in 2 weeks. And then mandatory minicamp is June 9th through 11th.
Gosh, you. So OTAs start in 2 weeks here, and that's another voluntary OTA, right?
I
believe so. Yeah, because then the mandatory starts in June, like you said. So
yeah, it's no live contact. We can do 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills.
And I wonder, I'm pretty sure the media is normally there at those early OTAs as well. So yeah, so we'll get to see some content of who's stepping up, whose throws look nice in camp and stuff like that. I'm hoping, I saw somebody saying in the chat, I think it was Lisa, she was saying that she loves Diego Pavia as that third quarterback spot. The only thing, of course, that worries me is the size. Again, at this next level, I just don't really see how. And I think how tall is he again? I think he's like 5'9", 5'10".
I think he measured
Maybe?
like 5'10" at the combine, maybe closer to 5'10".
Okay, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. I was thinking he was like a couple inches shorter than that. 5'10", you can get away with that. But even still in this league, I mean, like you got Vega Ioane, who is what, 6'5" himself, and
Right.
John Simpson, who's also super. I mean, like it's just like at a certain point, like I'm out on the smaller QBs, and it seems like the rest of the league is kind of sharing that same sentiment. But yeah, again, Skylar Thompson, no need to really kind of stress over this. I don't think that this is some sort of like master plan for him to like, go up the ranks and maybe take over that QB2 spot or anything like that. I just think they're just trying to get insurance on their insurance right now and have extra camp bodies going into these OTAs that are coming up here in a couple of weeks. Because again, you're going to need multiple quarterbacks on the roster just to get all the drills and activities done and things like that. Because there's a ton of guys who need work, right? You have like guys who are wide receiver, what would be considered wide receiver 6, 7, and 8 on this team, who are like undrafted free agents and undrafted rookies and things like that. Who are going to need some guys who can throw to them. So that's all this is, guys. There's no need to kind of fret or worry. Yeah, it's just a camp body, just a camp body. By the way, over 100 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Deshaun, what up to you? I see you in the chat. Says what up, PRP? Yo, yo, yo. Appreciate you for coming through. This is episode 403 of PRP. Please be sure to leave a like, aka a thumbs up. That's right, on this video here. We'd appreciate that, and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. So yeah. Kind of a non-issue there. Let's move on to this whole Jesse Minter thing, Alex, unless you had something else on the whole Skylar Thompson thing.
No, I think just kind of piggybacking your point, Lamar Jackson's not going to be throwing a Dayton Wade and Xavier Gilroy in Minicamp. And that's no disrespect to them. Dayton Wade made some plays last year, but they're further down the depth chart, and those quarterbacks will be thrown to them. And I think, as of right now, I think if I were to pick somebody, probably Thompson, I think has the lead just because he has a vet experience, but Pavia might get it. It just depends how he does in preseason. I'll tell you what, he will. For me, I will be going to a preseason game to watch Pavia. I can 100% say that. I think that stuff like that gets butts and seats for preseason. I know it's not big, but it's a storyline. The same way Browns games last year in the preseason. How many views were they getting just to see Shedeur Sanders for a couple of drives?
That's true. That's true. And then because people are like starving for football because there's been no football for like 6-7 months. And then you get this guy who was a Heisman runner-up who's playing for the Ravens. Like, yeah, and you think that he's probably going to get a good amount of snaps, especially in the preseason as being like, what, QB 4 or 5, whatever he might be. So, no, I like that. I mean, it's definitely a smart move. It's a chess, not checkers move from the Ravens. I can definitely say that because, like you mentioned to your point, it's a really good point, Alex. Like, it puts butts in seats, right? People are going to show up to watch this kid play. So, we'll see what he does. He's going to have the opportunities. I mean, Diego Pavia to Jacoby Lane for a touchdown in like the first half of, oh my goodness, man. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, man. I mean, you're going to be able to make like TikTok edits and whatnot just off of one preseason game alone if those guys start to kind of show out together. So, man, I'm excited for it. I cannot wait. We'll get back to the offense here in a little bit, but I want to go and switch gears here to the defensive side of the football because Jesse Minter had said some things over the weekend, and as we can see here on screen, about this Ravens defense and when he was asked about players communicating pre-snap. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Jesse Minter had to say.
Expect that. Is that something you're really encouraging?
Yeah, I mean, you can't play this game quiet, and you can't play
Appreciate
this
the
game
sub, Greg.
and you can't play this game without knowing what you're doing. And so, I know from a defensive standpoint, like we should be the loudest, most crazy, obnoxious communicating unit in the history of football. And that's the rookies doing that. And so I give credit to the coaches that they had those guys prepared to come out here and be able to be like that. That's really the standard that we're trying to create. When you communicate and you're on the same page and you know what you're doing, you got a much better chance of being successful. So, and the whole idea is that when you do it over and over again, you do it here, you do it every play, that it doesn't matter if it's the first play of the season against whoever or in a game in December or in a game in February. That's the standard of how we operate, and we lead ourselves to success in those moments if we operate like that all the time.
Yes, you hear there from Jesse Minter. What are your thoughts, Alex?
I don't want to be that guy, but he mentioned February, and I'm like, you know what? What a breath of fresh air to what we were dealing with not too long ago. We were told Super Bowl or bust is just an awful way to think about it. We have our coach now talking about it. February, wanting to be there in that moment. And to me, he's saying all the right things. We're so far away from the season. I'm not going to sit here and crown him as our Lord and Savior Jesse Minter, but him allowing these guys, I think, play freely, play with their expressions, and just kind of be themselves. Yeah. It just is very, very refreshing, I should say. I feel like he won't be the coach that will start switching guys' positions to start doing that. We'll draft somebody and then, let's put them in this position because maybe they can work out there. No, play them in their correct position and you'll get the most out of them. And I think we'll see that out of Jesse Minter. Um, like I said, it's just a breath of fresh air. I'm very excited to see this defense now. I'll have to pull it up. Somebody listed the Chargers defense and our defense, like comparison, and the amount of talent. Like it's looking at it on your screen, seeing who we have and they have. I'm gonna find it and send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
It is like, okay, what can this guy do with this much talent? Who can he unlock?
Yeah.
Who is that next star on the defense waiting? And yeah, everything he said is just it's the right thing to say. We kind of see it on the field now, but we have to wait how many more months? 4 or 5 more months to see it.
You know what, Alex? I have a question. I want to know if, and this question is for the entire Rain gang as well, whoever's watching. Recently, I've watched some national sports media. I know it's a sin. I know. But I let him get to me because I watched a video on Fox Sports 1 where one of the analysts was saying that there's a couple playoff teams or teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that he thinks are going to make the playoffs this year. And this particular analyst said that the Cincinnati Bengals would make the playoffs and the Ravens would not make the playoffs this upcoming season. And I had to take like a step back really. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Do I just have on purple glasses as a fan and do I not know what is waiting for this Ravens team around the league? Because if you ask me, and we cover this team all year long, we know when this team has something. This offseason in particular feels way different and way better, much to like your points and what even with Jesse Minter's philosophies and things like that. It feels much more optimistic, but it just doesn't seem like that's reaching to the national media. So maybe it's one of those things where, the media, again, to your point, doesn't want to crown him as Jesse Minter, our savior. They got to see it in real time. But are we just kind of like, and I think I asked this to a coach last week, are we just kind of like paper champs right now? And I'm just not seeing it? Like, am I not seeing the big picture? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of Ravens hype. I've actually seen multiple people say we're going to miss the playoffs, saying that we aren't that good of a team. And I've seen a lot of our rival fans kind of trash talking us. And Adam here says, sounds like an ignorant comment, must be Acho. Adam, here's how you know it's not Acho. Sutton said he was watching the national media. Acho is no longer on Fox. Like, most respectfully, he is no longer on there. And
yeah,
I mean, I think Ravens fans, knowing what we have and knowing the talent that we have and seeing the way it was misused last year, I think we can feel the way we feel. I do think we're being a little overlooked, and I'm kind of happy about that. I've seen, we have no really vertical threats, and that's fine. We can't develop receivers. That's completely fine with me. Calais Campbell, I saw, was nowhere near of a good signing as a Dexter Lawrence. I don't know if that's comparing apples to oranges. Like, we don't have Metabike, Travis Jones, etc. But yeah. I kind of love it, and I think you're right to feel that way. I think you're right to feel that this team is damn good because they are. It's just a lot of unknowns, and maybe that's why they're not loving us. And Vodegard 1896 here says, bro, I don't know what they're saying. Multiple sports books still got us as 4th place Super Bowl favorites. That's crazy. Ooh.
I mean, who would we be behind in terms of Super Bowl favorites? Like, what would that be? Bills? Seahawks?
I'll throw the Rams. I mean, the Rams.
Rams, maybe, yeah.
I don't. Ty Simpson.
Hey, I think that dude's going to be good.
I think they're just so close to that Super Bowl. They're so close. Yeah, definitely. And then I think kind of what and what we all know is we have improved in coaching wise. Dwayne Ledford, I mean, for Pete's sake, a fantastic O-line coach, and it was one of our biggest red flags, was just the O-line last year, and we're addressing that. And obviously, the center is still a big question mark, but we have a guy who is proven to develop guys. So you're completely right to feel the way you feel.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and I'm fine. Like the fact that you're mentioning it now, like I'm fine with being overlooked and underrated. Perfectly fine by me. Because we know as Ravens fans, every single time that the Ravens kind of shift gears a little bit, meaning like coaching changes, personnel changes here and there, things like that, and you kind of go into this new little era, things always start off, at least starting off, we're just as dominant as can be. We've talked about it before. You look at the first year with Lamar Jackson starting at quarterback, the league didn't know what to prepare for with the Ravens. And he dominated. He dominated. And then the first year with Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken literally won a league MVP, right? So this first year with Jesse Minter and Declan Doyle and this new, literally fresh slate, I just don't see how national media. And by the way, it was Colin Cowherd. It was Colin Cowherd who said those things about, or lack thereof, things about the Ravens. I think that, again, they're all just kind of, and I like Colin Cowherd. I've said that multiple times on the show. Sometimes he can have some really, really crazy takes, which makes for some like memeable moments. Don't get me wrong, but like, it just kind of made me wonder for a second. Like, I don't see how this team could really fail. And maybe it's this, right? I was on Twitter earlier today, and I saw, and a lot of you guys are gonna get mad at me for saying this name. He's not very popular in the Ravens community, but Jason La Canfora, right? And he was basically saying how the Ravens offense is like Zay and Prey. I don't know if you saw that online. It was just kind of, it was weird. He was like, yeah, so like outside of Zay Flowers, like what's their plan on offense? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, why does, because I mean, even though Jason La Canfora, much like Emmanuel Acho, I don't think he's national media anymore either, right? But like, why do so many people who have some sort of credibility in the space think that this Ravens team isn't going anywhere? Like, it's like we're just cooking up something right underneath their nose. So I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it because it means that like we're gonna come out zagging when the rest of the league thinks we're gonna zig, and we're just gonna, we're gonna hurt a lot of feelings. We're gonna hurt a lot of feelings this year. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it. And no, wait, we got some super chat donations. I didn't want to miss these, by the way. Voldegard with the $5 in the chat. You already said this one, bro. I don't know what they're saying. Multiple sports bookies got us at fourth place Super Bowl odds. Yeah, they do. And just the other day, and he mentions here, just the other day, they were telling, I think the odds were us to have the highest win total. I think something like that. We did an episode like that a couple of weeks ago, actually. Yeah. But Voldegard says here with another $5 donation. Appreciate you, brother. Making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Ram podcast. Says it's the Bills, Rams, and Seahawks, and we're 4 right behind Buffalo at 3rd. Rams are 1. Rams are 1? I don't see Rams being 1. That's interesting. Over the Seahawks is crazy. I mean, I get it. It's kind of like, who do you like more, Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold, if it really comes down to it? But like, that Seahawks defense is just different, no?
Yeah, I think they did lose Tariq Woolen, Boy Mafe. I guess you can look at them, but they drafted the one safety who I like. But they're still gonna be a damn good team. They still have the cornerstone pieces that won them the Super Bowl. Going back to back, as tough as it is. And I also I did send you the tweet about the whole the Chargers defense and Ravens defense, if you want to pull that up.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I thought maybe the Eagles might have getting more love. I think I like their draft a lot too. Getting Mekhi Lemon. And then here it is. Yeah, this is a comparison between the Chargers defense of last year and the Ravens. So kind of just go on down there and just look at who they had compared to who we have, and definitely an upgrade on the Ravens side. And that doesn't always mean that we're going to be better than they were, but it just goes to show if Minter was cooking with that, what can he cook with this? If Minter was cooking at that 2-star restaurant, putting up some crazy meals, give him a little 4 to 5-star. Take him, downtown to the nice restaurant. What's he going to cook with that? So I'm looking forward to this. Any of these, comparisons kind of stick out to you? Because I have a couple, honestly.
Yeah, I'm kind of like reading through them now. For one, at the very bottom, Derwin James to Kyle Hamilton. I think that is the one that is probably most important because Derwin James was a literal weapon in Jesse Minter's defense, right? So the fact that like you go and you get a head coaching job where you get an upgrade over a player who was already at damn near the top of the league, at his position, right? You get an upgrade over that at that same position. And so you have continuity there. I think Jesse Minter is going to be able to come in and, of course, kind of employ the same game plan that he used and schemes that he used with Derwin James on Kyle Hamilton, who I think is a better player, right, pound for pound. So that one kind of interests me a lot. And then also, I'm looking at Tui Tupulotu and Tavius Robinson. That one is kind of, I feel like lopsided in terms of in favor of Tui on that one because of just kind of like the sack production. I can't remember exactly how many sacks he got last year, but when I was going back and looking at their tape, he was in the backfield quite often, quite often. So
13.
13 sacks, exactly. Come on now, Tavius Robinson. Respectfully, I don't think he's there, but I mean other places as well. Like you mentioned, Odafe Owe and Trey Hendrickson and Mike Green up top there. I think favors Trey Hendrickson and Mike Green. Not gonna lie, Khalil Mack and Zion Young. Zion Young's he's a young dude, but I actually have a graphic on Zion Young as well.
Okay.
Really quick, Alex. Let me show.
Yeah.
Let me show us here. Let me see. Zion Young. Here we go.
Yeah, Zion Young, by the way, I think he really took over that leadership role during the minicamp. Did you read those notes? You saw that? He was kind of like the loud leader.
Oh no, I didn't. But we know
Yep.
he's a very charismatic dude, so that doesn't surprise me at all. But I mean, you love that though. You love that somebody who's speaking up early and often. Like this is OTAs haven't even started yet. Like the vets haven't even gotten in the room, and I promise you, he's not going to stop talking when the vets get in the room, right? So I think that the vets are going to have like an extra responsibility when they get in. You know, again, the guys like Roquan Smith and now the Calais Campbells of the world and stuff like that. They're going to like reel this rookie in, and I think they're going to feed off of his energy, and that's going to like permeate throughout the entire roster, man. I'm excited as hell for that. And I love the fact that, you know, this new kind of philosophy change with Jesse Minter coming in is now meaning that we can now have the players who John Harbaugh never liked. And those are the alphas. Those are the ones who are very vocal, you know what I mean, and are not ashamed to do so. So I love that. But here you see Zion Young, a stat for him. He led the SEC in pass rush points saved with 33.79 this season. That's nearly 34 points he took off the board with pressure alone. So he's not just a guy who gets sacks, but he just is a drive killer. He's a drive killer, right? So we know that Zion Young is good in the run, you know, stopping the run. And then also he's got a couple of moves that he uses here and there. He's got a really good inside move to get to the quarterback. So he's not the most polished in that area, but in all other areas, he's like super duper well-rounded. You know who he kind of reminds me of? Just a little bit, Alex. He kind of reminds me of Tyus Bowser and what he was able to offer us a couple of years ago. I could see him kind of filling that role where he kind of kills a couple of drives on you know, opposing teams' offenses and things like that. Some big third down stops, TFLs in the backfield, like things like that. And obviously, also, he's going to be hyping up the team. I cannot wait for the first Zion Young sack or tackle for loss, and then you have that field level CBS camera that's like, you know, recording his celebration. That's going to be, again, cinema, man. I cannot wait. Zion Young looks good, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Tyus Bowser because I'm kind of thinking about Trent Simpson and what exactly his role in this defense is going to be. And I'm like, they could low-key give him like that Tyus Bowser role, you know, who can rush the passer because of the speed, or he can drop back into coverage. And we saw him, I think, really excel his game last year. Remember the Steeler game? Made a couple of nice open field tackles, but going to Zion Young, pass rush, what was it? Can you go back to that stat again? What was it? It was pass rush point saved?
Yeah.
Pass rush point save. I've never heard of that. I like to consider my guy like analytics nerd. I've never heard that, and that is probably one of the coolest things I've heard now. Pass rush point saved. And looking back, kind of looking at his highlights, look at when his plays were. They were in crunch time. That infamous, you know, him kind of talking trash during overtime. Who made the play to win them that game in OT? Zion Young. He talked it, and he walked it. So letting our guys be who they are, unapologetically being themselves, is something I think we've lacked in Baltimore, and I think for the good, honestly. Let him be loud. Let him be this leader he wants to be, because you can't have enough of them. So I really love that. But going back to this, a Tierra Tart and Nnamdi Madubuike. I do want to say, I don't think Madubuike starts off the season on the roster. I think it'll probably be an IR candidate. Might be back maybe October, November. But to have a guy of that just nature coming back possibly it's just huge. It's huge. I'm really excited for him, you know, that first step back on the field. And then linebackers as well. Denzel Perryman and Roquan Smith, kind of somebody who I know I've been very hard on Roquan Smith. I know you have as well, but I'm really keeping my eye on him because it's, to me, like a make it or break it year. I think after this year, there is a way out of the contract. Not to go completely radical, but crazier things have happened. Deion Henley, you know, I like him, a young linebacker, compared him to Teddy B, who, to me, probably one of our best draft picks who played last year. Starks, I'm going to give him some grace. Mike Green to give him grace. But Teddy B was looking really good as a fourth rounder in a Zach
Yeah, he
Gordon
was.
defense. He was looking really good.
Yeah. Roquan Smith, really quick. on him. He is a guy who, like you mentioned, he is going to be kind of like on the brink of being moved by the Ravens if he does not perform this year. I think he's got to have at least like maybe 2 or 3 games where it's just like super evident, or maybe like 4 games where it's super evident that like he's there and like he's making big plays. Like I need to see some turnovers forced. I need to see something other than you just like plugging up the A gap or the B gap, right? Like it's just we're paying him too much money. I think his cap is like what 30 million or something like that
Yes.
this year. It's just a lot for a linebacker who, quite frankly, we've got some younger guys who, if we're going to get that type of production out of Roquan, I mean, we might as well get it from, like you mentioned, guys like Teddy B, Trenton Simpson. Of course, we still have to see what he's going to offer too in this Jesse Minter system. But okay, let me see. We got a question from Nike's 4444. It says, question: how can you stop both Calais and Matabike? Well, it's going to be damn tough. It's going to be hard because Calais Campbell is 6'8". And like, even if he's not getting through the line of scrimmage, you have to get the ball over or around him. You know what I mean? Like, so he creates a lot of traffic in throwing lanes, and I think that that's going to be super beneficial for this Ravens defense. And then also Nnamdi Madubuike, if he can come back and even be 80% of what he was, right, he's going to be absolutely dominant in those trenches. And I think that the impact of those two guys, it boosts the stock subsequently of everybody else on the defense, because if you have that defensive line who's speeding up the quarterback's clock, that's really what it's all about, right? You need a defensive line who's going to be able to get into the quarterback's lap, bring the quarterback's eyes down and keep them away from going downfield, so where he can throw the ball to and basically distract him and things like that until it's too late. And if you force quarterbacks to make like erratic decisions and bad throws under pressure, especially interior pressure, then, of course, guys like Kyle Hamilton are going to eat even that much more. Malachi Starks, I expect him to have a big leap up this year as well, just by virtue of how dominant the rest of this defense is down low. Like, it's just going to make everybody else's job easier. So, yeah, it's going to be damn hard to stop Calais Campbell and not Justin Madubuike, but Nnamdi Madubuike, not to mention Travis Jones. Travis Jones is right there, literally led the team in sacks last year, albeit not a whole bunch of sacks, but like he led the team in sacks last year. And oh, yeah, we brought in a Calais Campbell who had more sacks than anybody on the Ravens last year. So looking up for this defense, man.
Yeah, and while you're mentioning the back end guys, Jalen Hawkins, who I think come December, I think that might be pound for pound one of the best free agent signings over on the offseason. 2-year, $10 million for a damn good safety that allows Jesse Minter to use Kyle Hamilton as like his personal just like toy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he can put him wherever. He can just slot him in wherever and just have his way, just have fun. Let him go out there and just cause havoc, organize chaos. Honestly, I'm going to throw it back there with the old Ravens logo. But if you have Hamilton, lined up, just kind of that, we'll see the graphic again this year of, where has Kyle Hamilton lined up? And it's probably going to be evened out for every single position: slot, safety, linebacker, edge. How he might line up over the D line, over the O line. Who knows? But signing Hawkins to allow Hamilton to play free, it really can't go unsaid. That's a huge signing for me. And I'm actually really excited to see what he can do because he's a playmaker. I think he caused that fumble against Derrick Henry, against Zay Flowers when he played last year with the Patriots. A couple of big interceptions. We can use that on the back end, paired up with Malachi Starks. I'm just getting more excited to talk about this defense, thinking of.
For sure.
This is what the national media won't tell you about.
They won't tell you about this stuff. And I don't understand it. It's like, wait a minute. So you guys got news that Nnamdi Madubuike is probably coming back, and we also got Calais Campbell, and we also have Travis Jones, who's one of the best young interior D linemen on the team, and we also got Trey Hendrickson. Right? Like, what are we talking about? And we still have Kyle Hamilton, the best safety in the game. You have Roquan Smith. His name value, I know his name is still good in the streets, despite what he's been putting on tape the past couple of years. If you ask most of the national media, they'll still regard him as one of the best linebackers in the league. And not to say that Roquan Smith is bad. He's just not performing up to his contract, in my opinion, my personal opinion. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but that's just what I think. But yeah, the defense should be absolutely lethal this year. So, I mean, what Jesse Minter said, I mean, this master plan of like being the most crazy, obnoxious, and just over communicating defense. And that's another point that I want to kind of stick on, Alex, is like, the fact that so many times, not just last season, but even the season before that as well. Basically, since Mike McDonald's departure, the communication on defense has been piss poor. Right? It's been non-existent at times. I mean, way too many times last year did you see, literally just from the broadcast angle, when you're watching on your couch on Sundays, right? Guys like literally looking back and forth. You got DBs looking back and forth, linebackers trying to figure out who's going to be where, who's doing what. And then, the play is snapped and, quarterback gets it out, 13-yard gain. You know what I'm saying? Touchdown plays, things like that, all because guys weren't communicating. Then you see after the big plays already happened, guys are looking at each other like, what happened? You know what I mean? Like, if you can eliminate that, if Jesse Minter is basically saying, like, we have to eliminate that and we have to be over communicative, right? Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to cause chaos. Communication causes chaos when you talk about being a good defense, right? The more you communicate, the more chaos you can cause on the opposing offense. So I love all that from Jesse Minter.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point about just how bad we were communicating. I can just think of that Lions game. I think I saw guys kind of, pushing guys into the spot they should be in. Well, now they're out of position. And now the guy they try to put in position doesn't know what his assignment is. And it was just, it was a shit show. Pardon my French, but it was just awful. That game, the Patriots game, we have Drake May just beating us over the middle of the field. I think we got beat so much over the middle of the field last year. It was like it was wide open. 3rd and 20, it's a first down for them. We're wide open every time. I think somebody in the chat mentioned how our corners played off ball. Yep, Neuro, Psych Sports. We were constantly playing so far off the ball. And easy, 5-6 yards. That's like a first down run for 5-6 yards. So now you have 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. We don't know what it's going to be. It's really hard to kind of find out if it's going to run or it's a pass. It just was very, very bad. And I hope we can kind of get back to the old defense, like you said. Communicate, talk, and just more 3 and outs. It felt like we had very little of them last year.
More turnovers. I'm banking on the turnovers, Alex. I mean, you talk about the 3 and outs. I'm looking at the turnover differential that the Ravens had. It was horrible, god awful, towards the bottom of the league. I think we were bottom 5 in the league for the majority of the season. If you're not even going to be giving Lamar Jackson short fields, then, how could I even expect you to do it in the playoffs? If you can't do it in the regular season, how could I expect you to ever do it in January? I mean, again, I just want to say this. Shout out to Tyler Loop. Let's clap it up really quick. He must be celebrated.
Careful.
He's a legend. Must be celebrated, man, because I don't know where we would be right now. John Harbaugh wanted to run it right back. But yeah, what was I saying, Alex? I lost my train of thought there. I started being grateful for Tyler Loop.
Turnovers. I mean, our
turnovers. That's right.
Was so poor.
Yeah.
So poor.
Yeah. We got to flip the field, man. If you flip the field for Lamar Jackson, I guarantee you, if the defense can get in the top half, just the top half of the league, Alex, in turnover differential, right, which basically means that on average, they're better than most teams at getting turnovers and not turning the ball over, Lamar Jackson will win his 3rd MVP. If you give him a short field consistently at a higher clip than half of the other teams in the league, he will win another MVP. Because you think about it, Lamar Jackson had to get a lot of his production last year out of the mud. And I'm talking about like the trenches. I'm talking about like 80-yard drives, 90-yard drives. You know what I'm saying? Like, had to really get it out of the mud last year. So I think that that's something that we're not really talking about either. If this defense can actually get back to a respectable turnover differential, right, that's going to help the offense out as well, man. And again, like everything Jesse Minter said, over communicating and things like that, that's what helps that. Because if you're on the same page, if everybody on the defense is on the same page, it makes it so much easier to disrupt what the offense has going on.
If this is correct, I believe we had a -3 turnover differential last year.
Yeah, that sounds about right. -3.
Like, if you have a negative turnover differential, you do not deserve to be in the playoffs.
No.
Like, last year, we did not deserve to make it. We got lucky that we even had a chance to even possibly be in there. We know what it would have been. One and done. I'm sorry. I mean, the Texans coming in, Will Anderson, Daniel Hunter, Daniel Falele. Really?
It would have been bad. It would have been bad.
Their D tackles, really?
And at the time, Alex, I was like coping, like thinking like, oh, because a lot of Ravens fans were coping like, oh, if the Ravens would have made it, I feel like they would have ran the table. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, bro. It was premium copium when people were saying things like that. Like, yeah, I get it. We had Lamar Jackson. Whenever you have Lamar, there's always like a way. Mr. Hyde, appreciate the sub.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whenever you have Lamar, there's always a way, and to a lot of extents, that's true. But when it came down to a pound for pound, man, we could not hang with some of those teams that were in the playoffs this past season. So, Alex, I want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, I mean, the Texans was probably the worst matchup. If it was the Patriots, I would have given us a chance. Definitely would have liked our chances. I mean, because we had them on the ropes at home not too long ago, and then we took Derrick Henry off the field. But last year's last year. It's a whole different team, whole different era. We're the next flight. There we go. We're on to that. We're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on. Next flight, man. It feels good. Let me see. All right. Let me bring this up on screen here. This was a video that was actually posted by my guy, Simply AS10, cutting up this Ravens camp. So you had Diego Pavia in this video. There's a couple other ones if it can ever load for us here. Here you see Vega Ioane, and they mentioned things about Jacoby Lane in this one as well. I guess it's like taking a while to load. All right. Shout out to the internet. But when you looked at some of these clips here from rookie minicamp, what kind of stood out to you, Alex?
I think the receivers. I know a lot of people were talking about their footwork. Obviously, it's gonna be raw. They're fresh out of college. They're working with NFL pros. But for me, the Jacoby Lane, his vertical, I see why people said from 20 to 20, you don't really fear him. But inside the red zone, that's where his bread and butter is, and I can wholeheartedly agree. I think this is the one. Yeah, he gets up there. Gets up there, and I think if you give him, a one-on-one ball with hopefully like a cornerback 3 or 4, you're like your chances. And the worst comes to worst, it's incomplete, and if not, Jacoby Lane touchdown. Pavia, I think you guys were talking about it. He does look smaller. He doesn't look 5'10" to me. I think he's facing an uphill battle to make this roster, but that's what preseason's for. And then for the linemen, I mean, they're getting physical, but you really can't take too much off of them because they're going against, just their practice dummies. But all in all, It's good to see them boys working, and football is back. Football is freaking
good. Yeah, it is. And I saw a lot of people making a big deal online about Jacoby Lane versus Elijah Surratt, and I think they were doing like a little 3-cone drill or something like that. And what did you think about it? What did you think about it first, Alex?
Can we not pin our players against each other? Like genuinely, like what is there to gain out of picking guys on the same team? I'm all for other teams, but let's not do Surratt versus Lane. They're rookies. I'm rooting them both on. If they both are productive, that means we're really good. So I'll take it. But I think like they're two different skill sets. I think Surratt's gonna help us get down the field, and Lane's gonna help us get into the end zone. Honestly, so I'm not gonna pin these guys against each other. And I think Surratt was a better pick for value, though.
Yeah, I think honestly, me personally, I understand you have the athleticism of Jacoby Lane, and there's the height and the hand size and all the things, but Elijah Surratt, I think he's that dude. I think he's going to be that guy for the Ravens, and the reason I say that is this: he can win at all 3 levels, and I think the best thing about him is that he wins with his hands at the line of scrimmage. So when you do press up on him and play man, right? He can use his hands to free himself up quickly. And I think that's something that Lamar Jackson will kind of, I guess you could say he'll take stock of that very early. Like, okay, this guy's available very early in his routes. Let me go ahead and get him the ball, especially on slants over the middle. I think if you get in like a 3rd and goal situation from like, let's say like the 3 or 4, you line this guy up at like the Y or something like that, Alex, and then you just send him over the middle. And I think he's going to be available there. He's going to beat his man one-on-one. He's going to make a strong contested catch, a physical catch in the end zone. I can see that happening a lot of times with Elijah Surratt here this upcoming season. But definitely, I mean, of course, Jacoby Lane, we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. Like with the height and again, like the hand size and everything, he has much higher upside. I can say that because if he can turn into like a Megatron of some sorts, right, where you can literally, like you said, just throw it up to him and Lamar just says, "F it, Jacoby Lane is down there somewhere." If he can turn into that guy, then that would be insane. That would be insane. I would love that. But again, I just think right now, Surratt is the more polished. He's definitely the more polished. Let me go back here. He's definitely the more polished player for sure. But then you got Venga, man. Venga's just looking
Yeah.
huge. Oh,
Yeah.
and I had to ask you a question about Venga. I had to ask
Okay.
you a question about Venga really quick. So when it comes to Venga Ioane, a lot of people have been talking about whether or not he's going to play left guard or right guard, right? And I personally think that he should play left guard. Of course, we had John Simpson, who came in, last year with the Jets. He played every single snap at left guard, and you're paying him a good amount of money to play left guard. So do you think that the Ravens should bring Venga over to the right side, or do you think that they should keep him on the left?
I've been saying it. You gotta play your guys where you draft them. Honestly, keep them there, keep them comfortable. Um, he's number 14 overall for a reason. I don't want to see us move him. Simpson, I feel like he's gonna start too, but he can slide right, and you have Emery Jones as well. But yeah, keep him in his natural position. Last thing I want to do is ruin a young, possible stud lineman just because we think it might work. Let's do what we know is going to work with him. Left guard.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
That's
I
how I
agree.
feel.
And not even just for that reason, Alex. Like one thing I want to bring up here, I saw this chart. I look at a lot of like NFL analytics and like really nerdy stuff, Alex, on from time to time. And I saw this, right? This is like EPA per rush by run gap, right? And so what you're looking at here is basically the green arrows are where the Ravens had, success running the football towards those sides of the offensive line. And this is back in 2025. And then the red arrows are where they had some pain points running the football. So what you notice here, basically everything that was in and around Voorhees and just Voorhees was a plague. Basically, is what I'm saying, because you could not run the ball behind him. He couldn't help out Ronnie Stanley to get some efficiency running the ball to that left side. And then also Tyler Linderbaum couldn't make up for it either. Now, on the right side, you had success running towards Roger Rosengarten and Daniel Faalele. At least it was better than what you saw on the left side. But then you see on the far left, right? On the far left, you had success running towards the outside shoulder of Ronnie Stanley on that left tackle side. So what does that tell me? That tells me that if you patch left guard with a competent left guard, which we are assuming, of course, we still got to see the guy play at the NFL level, but if you replace him with a Venga Ioane, I think the force multiplication of Venga and Ronnie Stanley on that left side, it gives you a trump card, kind of like an ace in the running game. Hey, we're gonna run over the left shoulder of Venga Ioane and in between Ronnie Stanley, and they're just gonna move traffic. And oh yeah, by the way, once you get through those two guys, you still have to tackle Derek frickin' Henry. You know what I'm saying? So I think that on top of, like you mentioned, playing a guy at his natural position, which would be left guard, I think that just having Stanley next to Venga, right, in the run game would be absolutely lethal.
Yeah, and you know what? I might owe a little bit of an apology to Mr. Flurley just in the run game, but we know what bad it was in the passing game. But boy,
Yeah.
yeah. To me, man, that left, just seeing how bad it was to the lefts, and honestly thinking about a lot of Derrick Henry's runs came, the outside or to the right. I think he's gonna play right guard. I do. I think he's gonna play right guard, and they're gonna let Simpson go there at left. I think Simpson's played at left when he was with us in the past 2 years with the Jets. So don't want to be the bear news, but it'll probably be Stanley, Simpson, whoever the center is, Venga, and then Rosengarten.
Which I think would be a mistake, man. That's a mistake. It's just like,
Yep.
put your best players, put your two best guys right next to each other on one side, man. And that's literally just all the convoy you need for a Derrick Henry, all the convoy you need for, Lamar Jackson on a scramble, all the convoy for it just makes the most sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And you agree with me here, because you're saying the same things. Like they should definitely start the Trauma Gas. Appreciate the sub. Appreciate that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for me for them to put Venga anywhere else other than at that left guard spot where him and Ronnie Stanley can literally be like mauling twins together over that left side. And it doesn't mean that I want to completely ignore the right side and things like that, because maybe we fake it to the left, maybe we run a counter to the right or something like that, kind of catch the defense off guard. But I think that our bread and butter needs to be running behind that left side with Venga and Ronnie Stanley.
Agreed. Yeah, and I see who was it? It was Jeremiah, Chris Jones, and Jalen Carter tend to be lined up against the right guards. So it's like, all right, well, our rookie guard, would be lining up against the best of the best. But they're starting off now in rookie minicamp, so I think that's where he's going to be. I think if you start him off in May, hopefully give him a couple months to kind of just get acclimated to it. He sounds up for it. I think he played a couple games there with Penn State. Hope he's ready for it. I'm not sure if that's the best decision, but who am I to say? I just want to see him play in his best position. I think that's left guard. But if they think it's right guard, I hope they're right. I hope everything works out. I hope he becomes a star there. Because the best can, move around and shift just like we saw Marciano do for us. Not going to compare them, but just kind of show if you're the best and you're damn good at what you do, they can line you up either guard and you make it work. But still, I think for
That's
me,
true.
you have a big question mark still at center. If he's lined up at left guard or right guard, who's right next to him? And that's where I don't know. I think I saw something that Ledford took a UDFA center in Atlanta and had him actually playing to a high level. Hope BDC didn't get any crazy ideas from that because I still think there's a veteran guy out there we can get. You mentioned trading for one. I doubt a team's going to trade you a center in the summer. It's very unlikely for that to happen. I don't know about you. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Teams don't typically just trade away offensive line. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this catch again from Jacoby Lane, man. This is actually insane. The way he gets up there. Like, Ravens have not had a guy like that in, honestly, really ever. To be honest with you, I can't really think of a time where the Ravens had a kind of like a jump ball receiver. I mean, you could say like Anquan, but Anquan was just so many other things as well that Jacoby Lane doesn't really look like he's going to be, at least not right now. But this Jacoby Lane kid, he definitely looks like a special talent. Which is why, again, I said back when we first drafted him, I said, hey, look, man, we got to get this guy some reps in the preseason. Like, make it well known, right? Make it well known that this is a guy who can just kind of go up, again, 3rd and goal from the 6. If you want to throw a fade ball, he's the guy who can go up and get that one, right? And really moss a dude. So, yeah, he's got a lot to prove, and I hope that the coaches, they kind of scheme it up for him to do so.
Yeah, and you mentioned the whole Borden thing, but I think Borden was a little bit more meat on the bones. I'd say could definitely absorb a hit or two. I mean, but I saw Jacoby Lane take a couple hits in college, albeit it is college. The NFL hits are a little bit different, but I agree. I think in the preseason, what do you have to lose? If it's first and goal, second and goal, F it. Jacoby Lane down there somewhere. The game doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, the score at the end doesn't matter, but those reps you really can't replicate. I'm all for it. I'm interested to see if we're going to have a joint practice. I know they talked about we're kind of in talks to have one, but that could really do us a lot of good, I think, with the young guys we have and just a whole new team kind of going against a competition that isn't wearing black and purple. I think we're going to have one, though. I think we will.
Yeah, we should. Hopefully we do. I mean, we need to see iron sharpening iron, man. I cannot wait to see this team against some competition, man. I mean, it's going to be painful to watch them against air for the next couple of months, man. I need to see some real stuff happening. But no, you mentioned, I mean, again, like with the Jacoby Lane guy, he is going to be up against it against some of these NFL bodies, like those guys they hit hard, right? And they're going to be coming after him. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds up against that. Also, the fact that I don't think anybody's really talked about this. This guy is, he went to USC, right? I don't think. Where's Jacoby Lane from? Is he from Cali? He looks like he's from Cali.
I think Arizona.
Okay, yeah. So he's from like the warm weather, in the AFC North. It gets cold, right? So on top of like you having some heavy hitters here in this division, specifically, right? Not just the NFL, but it also gets cold. So we'll see how his game translates, man. I'm hoping that he's like the next big thing at wide receiver. And Alex, I said this like a couple of weeks ago before the draft. I was like, it's time for us to hit on one of these next like top 5 wide receivers. Love Zay Flowers, but you guys know how I feel. I don't think that he is a true wide receiver 1. And again, when I say that, people tend to get, whatever. But I just think I think about it this way. A wide receiver 1, not to go off too much on the tangent here, but a wide receiver 1 means that you should be the number 1 option on at least half or more of the teams in the league. And I don't think you can necessarily say that for Zay Flowers.
I think, tell you this. I think you're looking for an AJ Green type of player. Is that the receiver you want? I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
yeah.
I mean, a guy like him, a tall, guy who can, pop out of nowhere. I think that's the guy you're looking for. And this is like, hold up, Purple Rain Inception right now. Holy crap!
I know, right? That's crazy.
Holy crap.
That's crazy.
Holy crap! But I think you're looking for that height, that a guy like him, that build, and I think that's the perfect compliment. If you can get him along with his A Flowers, that'd be a great one too. And you look at kind of T and Jamar, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. That'll be that's probably ending. Did great things together. We're looking for that, the Batman and the Robin. Don't know if that's gonna happen though. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Mr. High says, watch Lane's highlights. He's making a bunch of one-handed catches. Yeah, that's what he does. And it's the hand size. It's the hand size, man. That's what allows him to do that, So again, I hope that his game can translate to the NFL level. And like I was saying before I kind of went off on that wide receiver one take or tangent, whatever you want to call it, I was saying that it's time for the Ravens to hit on their guy who is a top 5, like actual bona fide top 5 wide receiver in this league. It's time for the Ravens to get their Jamar Chase. It's time for them to get their AJ Brown, their Amon-Ra St. Brown, their whoever you want to call JSN, whatever, right? A guy who, just makes plays. And most importantly, to me, scores touchdowns, right? I'm looking for somebody who can produce in that area, who can put up 6, who can make these game-breaking, highlight ESPN top 10 plays. Maybe not on a super regular basis, but he should be one of them ones. It's been a long time since the Ravens drafted one of them ones at wide receiver. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. So maybe Lane will be that. I think Surratt actually has the better chance to be that. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. 148 people watching live right now. Thank you guys so much for coming out to this episode 403 of PRP. Please be sure to leave a like on this video. Thumbs up down below goes a very, very long way. We'd appreciate you guys for doing that. Also, if you are new here, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We'd appreciate that too. But yeah, let me see. World class says you just mean a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Well, yeah. A guy like that. And I don't think that, respectfully, I just don't think that Zay's anywhere near that. And I think most people would tend to agree. So I do think that we need a little bit of a Batman to his Robin. Go ahead.
I can tell you the national media would agree with you as well. When they talk about the Ravens receiver room, very little respect for Zay Flowers. I don't think they should. I don't think it's fair. I think he's produced at a very high level considering, last year as well with the quarterback when Lamar was out. But he gets very little respect around the league. I think he definitely hears it as well.
Yeah. I mean, and there's an opportunity for him to, I think take that next step and elevate his game a little bit. But based off of what I saw last year, I just think that he kind of is who he is. You remember going into last year, he was like, "Oh, I'm running straight this year," and didn't really see that. He was still kind of just doing the Zay Flowers thing, and it's just like, yeah, he's a super productive receiver. I mean, he demands a lot of the target share. We could say that for sure, very comfortably. Todd Monken had him schemed up in all sorts of ways in that offense. And again, it's not to say that he's like a bad player or anything, because he's not. He's actually a very, very good player. It's just that you need somebody who's going to be able to complement what he brings to the table. And I'm hoping that it can be this Lane guy or Surratt, one of the two. But either way, I think it's time for the Ravens to start hitting on their wide receivers in these drafts, right? No longer do I want to hear the excuse of just like, oh, the Ravens aren't good at drafting wide receiver, they shouldn't do it. And right. No, I think it's good to be intentional and try to take your swings there and try to get your guy for Lamar, especially considering we just lost. There was a talent drain in the wide receiver room, or just the pass catching room in general. Losing Isaiah Likely is huge. It's huge. Because you don't have that guy who you can go to on 4th and 9, when you need to be bailed out, and you're not looking for a smaller target. You're looking for somebody to win one-on-one and basically win a basketball jump ball, and the fact that they lost Likely and bringing in Lane, it kind of tells you what direction they want to go. I would assume that Lane is going to get more of the, like I mentioned earlier in the show, more of the benefit of the doubt, right, from this coaching staff, right? If he starts to make plays and really flash in camp and things like that, he's going to get pushed, right, to be that wide receiver 3, I think, in the room, because he's got the measurables. He's got the measurables to be that. All of them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like I think, like I said, the red zone is where I think Jalen Lane, that's the bread and butter is at. But now with Surratt, I mean, I think of more yards. Like I said, I'm going Surratt more yards, Lane more touchdowns if he does get the opportunities in the red zone. But at the same time, I think if Declan Doyle can use Zay Flowers correctly in the red zone, I really think that's a big missing piece. I think I want to say Jason brought it up that Packers game. It was Zay 1-on-1 press. He beats his corner wide open, stretches out, touchdown. We don't use him correctly. We put him across the middle. Obviously, you're not going to throw it to Zay Flowers in the red zone at the 10-yard line. Look at his height compared to the DBs and safeties. It's not going to happen. Use him right, I think he'd have more touchdowns. I think that's something I know you've been definitely waiting for from him, and so have I.
Yeah.
I want to see him get closer to double-digit touchdowns. That to me is unlocking his next game. I think he's got the yak. He's shown me a lot. Back-to-back 1,000-yard years, back-to-back Pro Bowls. Let's get in the red zone, in the end zone more. I'm sorry. I think it starts with Declan Doyle. And Voy here says, if Zay is not top 15, you have Bateman, who is worse than Prime Nelly, similar numbers, less games, and a less efficient offense. Overall, top 30. I know I don't. Not after last year.
If Zay is not top 15, do I have Bateman top 30? No, I do not have Bateman top 30. And the reason why I do not have Rashad Bateman top 30 is because he spent a good portion of the, and let me transition back over here. Let's go back over here now. He spent a good portion of the first part of his career in and out of being hurt. Right. And then when he did finally get to the point where, he was kind of consistently being healthy and things like that, he started to show up. He started to really flash. And that is to the tune of 11 touchdowns in 2024. But you could tell that ever since they drafted Zay Flowers, the focal point of the offense was always going towards him, either him or Mark Andrews, and Rashad Bateman became this kind of like super duper secondary option on the team. So it's just, I don't think it's a matter of what Rashad Bateman can't do. It's just a matter of how this Ravens offense has been, coached over the past couple of seasons, right? It just hasn't really been Bateman friendly a lot of times. Again, we can't really slight the guy for having 2-3 targets per game, if that, on a lot of days. So it's like, it's just tough to kind of assess where you have Bateman. But no, I would not put him top 30, right? As I would not put Zay Flowers top 15 either. And it wasn't even necessarily that I was saying that Zay Flowers has to be a top 15 receiver, so to say. It's just more so like, okay, so on 16 or more teams, would he be the number one option? And I don't think that rings true for 16 or more teams. That's all I was saying. The whole Prime Nelly thing, you mean listen, Void. Prime Nelly, say what you want about him. He was good for us. I liked him as a Raven. He, did a lot of cool things, veteran leadership wise and things like that. But no, I don't think that he's better than Rashad Bateman. I don't.
What was his prime? Was it the Eagles or like the Raiders that one year? Because the Eagles, he was with Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
The Raiders, he had a good year with the Raiders. But
I would have probably said the Eagles.
Because the Raiders was a COVID year. I think he put up a K that year, 1K and a couple of touchdowns, I want to say. They're just... That's interesting.
No, Nelly wasn't bad. He was definitely not a bad receiver at all. I mean, he definitely got the memeable moment, the catching the babies thing, like Aguilar. Yeah, but that was kind of like, that kind of put a bad, stain on his reputation. I don't know why, because he was actually not bad. He's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you walk away with a ring, bunch of contracts, bunch of money. That's a pretty good career.
Can't be mad at that. Appreciate the super chat donation, Void, as always, brother. So World Class says here, so y'all think that Ravens need to bring in D-Hop or Stephon Diggs? Definitely no to Stephon Diggs. I think that me and Alex will be perfectly fine with D-Hop coming back to running back for one more year. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, but he's out here low-key twerking for the Bengals now, I saw. Saying he loved to play with Joe Burrow, this and that. I'm like, he want to play with the Bills. Like, he's kind of just like, I'm open, just pick me up. It's like, he's kind of like that, the first piece of bread. I think nobody really wants. They're touching it, but they don't want to eat it. I don't know where he's going to land, honestly. He'll land on a team. I just don't know if it's going to be here. For the right price, maybe. But now, we can't sit here and try to say, this guy and this guy deserve targets, and then you go and get D-Hop. I guess the price has to be right for me. And he has to kind of know his role. because you're not going to
Yeah,
get a ton
and
of targets.
right, and like you mentioned, like we talk about bringing in vets, and it's like, bro, Bateman, Flowers, y'all are the vets. Y'all are the vets. You know, like that's kind of where we're at now. So I don't think that we should bring in Diggs. Definitely, I wouldn't mind about D Hop, but like you mentioned, Price definitely has to be right. Definitely has to be
And
right.
Smitty says here, LeJontay took D Hop's number. The fact that like, oh, I knew numbers for the vets, and like the vets are all second year players. I think it's like Carson Vincent, Mike Green, and LeJontay Wester. They all
I was
joined
like,
your
bro, those
numbers.
aren't vets, bro.
They're
Those aren't
year two.
vets. Like respectfully, bro. And I put that on Twitter, and like everybody was like in the comments, like, "Oh, here's the definition of vets. Like you must not know. Like you're
Oh
an
my
idiot. Like
gosh. The
as soon as they're
Merriam-Webster.
right,
There
it's
we
like
go.
okay, yeah. Like this is definitely one of those like get off my lawn type of moments. Like because no, you're not about to call these guys a vet. I mean, a lot of these guys barely even got playing time last year, and like now they're veterans. No, I just don't. I just don't look at it that way, right? I just don't
I
look at it
don't
that way.
think Vincent had a snap. LeJontay was mainly just a punt returner, and Mike Green got time. Outside of that, yeah, those are second year guys. No way they are vets. No way.
Yeah, no. Tanya says here Bateman and Lamar don't seem to be on the same page. We've talked about that before. Bateman, the type of receiver he is, he just kind of, would work better with a more on-time type of quarterback. Lamar Jackson just unfortunately isn't that. He holds the ball a little bit more, so he can get those big plays down the field. But we've seen it happen before with Lamar and Bateman when Bateman kind of realized, like, hey, look, like if I can keep myself available and like keep the play alive, then Lamar will find me. So it's just about now getting that offensive line up to par to where Lamar has the time to find a guy like Rashad Bateman downfield. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
See, JD says Jennings will be an option if it's a 1 or 2 year deal. Yeah, speaking of Jennings, I actually looked at the available free agents. Obviously, not like superstars out there. I mean, you go Tyreek Hill one, but I think considering what happened to him last year and all that,
I'm
there's like a
good.
lot of talent out there. Not saying for the Ravens, but just in general, like your Tyreek Hill's out there, Keenan Allen out there, Debo Samuel out there, Jawan Jennings. Like there's receivers out there. Like not saying for the Ravens, but in the NFL can really make a difference. And edge rushers too. I think Cam Jordan's
I
out
like
there.
Keenan Allen.
Clown is out there. Keenan Allen, if the hamstrings are doing all right, that's
Yeah.
Jesse Minter has some familiarity with him. Was on
Yeah.
in the same locker room as him. That's kind of interesting. Now you bring it
Yeah,
up.
vet. Like you bring in a vet, like it'd be the latest new vet wide receiver addition. Like I mean, him or D Hop, I wouldn't be mad at either one. Again, whoever's healthier and ready to go, honestly, I'll take him. But no, I wouldn't hate that at all. Having a Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's been so good for so many years. Possession receiver, red zone demon. Like he can do a lot of things. I think for this team, even still at his age, if he can, again, granted, stay healthy. So, but no, him and Jadeveon Clowney, like you mentioned, those are two guys that I think that the Ravens should make a run for. I mean, center is at this point, I really don't know, bro. I really don't know because, like you mentioned, the trade thing. I doubt that that's going to happen because teams don't just trade interior O linemen. And then also, I mean, out in free agency right now, I think the only ones we're looking at now is Glasgow and who else again? There was like one more guy. Can't remember.
I think it was a guy who played for the Dolphins. I want to say, but he can play guard or center.
Yeah, but the pickings are pretty slim. The pickings are pretty slim right now. So, but the Ravens got to figure that part out. They got to figure that part out because I get it. You have your guards locked down now. You got Venga and John Simpson. Great. But you need somebody who can be the glue in between those guys, right? And replace what Linderbaum did. And God forbid we go back to having snap issues, right? Because this whole operation does not matter if you have Jacoby Lane 6'4" with the huge hands who can make one-handed catches. Does not matter if you have Derrick Henry, who's dominating from the backfield and things. It does not matter if you have Zay Flowers, who's trying to go for 1,000-yard season. Again, none of that matters if you have snap issues. We saw what that looked like before. So I'm very surprised that the Ravens have not aggressively or more aggressively pursued a center at this point in time. I mean, it's only May, so it's still early, right? But I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned, and nobody's really talking about that right now. But that's the one place where I'm like, okay, we definitely need some big help there. Huge help. And Corey Bullock, I get it. I see you guys in the chat saying Bullock, maybe, right? But the coach is going to have to see something in camp that I think really, really knocks their socks off. Because like I mentioned last episode of the show, all these guys are on an even playing field with this new coaching staff. Nobody's, getting favoritism or anything like that. Nobody's been working with anybody before. None of that. Maybe besides some players on defense from Jesse Minter's time in Baltimore a few years ago. But outside of that, I think everybody's on an even playing field. So unless Corey Bullock really, really dominates in camp, right, and really separates himself from Jesse Pint or who was it? Pinter?
Yeah.
Danny Pinter, and Javon Gwynn, right? Unless he really separates himself, Corey Bullock, that is, separates himself from those guys, then I don't really know what the plan is for center.
And then
I just don't.
there was the rumor that Emory Jones possibly could be there at center too. I don't know how I feel about that as he barely got time at guard. Like, I think he could be something at guard, but if they think he can really, be a center, why not? Third round talent, but that's just a lot of expectation on a second-year guy who played minimal snaps last year to come in there and be your center. Be that guy that touches the ball every play, snaps it, If they think it works, I mean, we'll probably see it in the preseason. That's the best place, kind of showcase it, see if he can handle it against those guys.
Yeah, we'll see. Either way, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting remainder of this offseason because most of the big stuff, guys, is out of the way. Right. Free agency is pretty much wrapped up. I mean, of course, there's still little moves happening here and there, but most of the big stuff has already been taken care of. Draft has already been taken care of. Right. Now we're looking forward to actually starting the season back again. Right. And then you have OTA starting in 2 weeks. And then I think 4 weeks from now, you're going to see mandatory training camp start or mandatory whatever it is. So there's going to be a lot going on here soon. And then also we have schedule release. Schedule release happens in maybe a week.
I think a week and change, which will be fun.
Yeah.
We obviously know week 3 is going to be in Brazil.
Cowboys.
Outside of that, I mean, you want to hope we don't get a Thanksgiving game or a Christmas game. I think let's give our guys the holidays off this year. That'd be nice. We've had 3 straight years with a game on a holiday.
Not gonna happen. That we're playing on either Christmas or Thanksgiving. We're not getting both of those days off.
We're gonna play the Chargers, aren't we? On one of those days.
Chargers. I was thinking an NFC team.
Okay.
What NFC teams do we play this year?
We play the South, NFC South. Bucks, Saints, Panthers. Other NFC teams. Let me check.
I don't know if they will put any of those teams on prime time on a major holiday. Because really, what you
also, sorry to cut you off, the Cowboys. There it is. Well, I'm sorry, that's week 3. I'm sorry, week 3.
Yeah, that's week 3. Yeah.
So that's the only team that's outside of the division that we play. That's the NFC team. So the Panthers and the Falcons away, and then the Bucks and Saints at home.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't see any of those teams getting the nod to play us because it really comes down to, what quarterbacks do you have? Like they want quarterbacks to play in those big games, like star quarterbacks to play in those big games. So it'll be Lamar Jackson versus, I don't know what divisions did you say we play in the AFC again?
We play the AFC South. We play the Jags, Titans, Colts, and Texans. By the way, I hope we go to Indy and just mollywop.
Man, we got a pretty favorable schedule this year.
I hope
no
Jesse
way
has Daniel Jones in hell. With all due respect.
I hope so too. But yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to here for Ravens Nation. We will be covering all of it here on the Purple Rain podcast. Again, as we close up the show here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. We got way more content coming up for you for the remainder of this week. As we say, it's never a dull day in Ravens land. I mean, again, just today they're signing quarterbacks and doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So we're going to keep giving you updates on our Ravens here. And again, we appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming through as there's still over 160 people watching live right now. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. Again, my name is Sutton Def. That is simply AS10, and we are the Purple Rain podcast. Okay. With that being said, we'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming through to episode 403 of the Purple Rain podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive and test negative.
Yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This is episode 403 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.